Have you ever looked at some of our biggest health problems and just wondered why they seem to stick around no matter what we throw at them? Well, today we're going to look at these persistent health issues, these disparities, from a totally new angle. This is all based on some really fascinating work by Dr. Michele. All right, let's jump right in.
I mean, it's a really frustrating question, isn't it? We see all these incredible medical breakthroughs happening all the time, but life expectancy can still be dramatically different just from one neighborhood to the next. So why is that? What are we missing here? What's the piece of the puzzle that we're just not seeing? To make this super clear, just picture this in your head. In one community, a kid grows up with everything they need to be healthy. Parks, good food, great schools. Then, just a few miles down the road, another kid is facing constant roadblocks to their health. And look, this isn't just some made-up scenario. This is the reality of health disparities. These aren't simple problems, and as we're about to find out, they need a completely different way of thinking.
So how do we even begin to unpack problems that are so complex, so deeply tangled up in the way our society works?
Well, public health experts have a name for these kinds of challenges. They call them wicked problems. It's a great term, right? They're not wicked like evil, but wicked like a tangled up ball of yarn. They're messy, they're stubborn, and they're connected to absolutely everything, from housing policy to what we value as a society. And our usual problem-solving methods, they just don't seem to make a dent.
So what is that usual way of solving problems? Well, for a long time, public health has relied on a very specific and, often very successful method.
It's an approach called reductionism. The basic idea is you take a giant, overwhelming problem and you break it down into smaller, bite-sized pieces. You study each little part by itself, you try to fix it, and you just kind of assume that if you fix all the parts, you'll fix the whole thing. You know, like a mechanic looking at an engine one component at a time.
Man, let's be totally fair, this approach has given us some huge wins. I mean, we're talking about identifying germs, creating vaccines, improving sanitation. It's been amazing for problems that have a single, clear cause. But, and this is the big but, it just falls flat when you're dealing with wicked problems. Why? Because it completely misses how all those pieces are connected. It misses the underlying structure of the problem itself. So, this is where we need a huge shift in our thinking. Instead of zooming in on every little piece, we need to zoom out and see the whole system at play.
This quote from Barry Richmond just nails it. It's all about understanding the underlying structure. It's not just about the behavior you see on the surface. It's about getting to the hidden web of connections and forces that causes that behavior to happen over and over again.
And this is the heart of what's called systems thinking. It's a mindset, a way of seeing the world that focuses on connections, relationships, and patterns. So instead of asking, what's the one thing that caused this, you start asking, how do all of these different pieces work together to keep producing the same result? It's really about seeing the whole forest, not just a bunch of individual trees.
Okay, so that sounds great, right? But what does a system actually look like when we're talking about our health? What are these hidden rules that are shaping our lives in such a powerful way?
Now, I know this chart looks a little complicated, but stick with me. It's basically a map from the World Health Organization that shows all the social determinants of health. That's just a fancy way of saying all the stuff in the world around us that gets under our skin and really shapes our health. Let me break down the most important idea here.
The best way to get what that framework is saying is to think of a tree. The stuff we usually see and focus on, the branches and leaves, those are the intermediary determinants. Things like our personal behaviors, our living conditions, or whether we can get to a doctor. But the real aha moment is when you look at the roots. These are the structural determinants, the deep-down economic policies, social norms, and political systems that feed the entire tree and really decide how healthy it's going to be.
So these are the hidden rules of the system. We're talking about the deep structural roots that shape everything else. Things like how a country is governed, big economic policies on housing and education, and even the cultural values that we all share. And the research is crystal clear on this. Things like systemic racism aren't side issues. They are foundational, structural forces that decide who gets power and resources, and that directly creates different health outcomes.
So here's the real payoff. Once we start seeing the whole system, we can start thinking about how to fix it in a much smarter way.
You see, when we only focus on those intermediary factors, like telling people to eat healthier in a neighborhood that's a food desert, we're just treating symptoms. It's like putting a bandage on a deep wound. But systems thinking forces us to go upstream and fix the root causes. It means we can design policies that don't just patch up the problem, but actually change the structure of the system that keeps creating the problem in the first place.
So how do we actually put this into action? Well, Dr. Battlefisher argues that for a health policy to really work, it has to take all these things into account. It's not just about the medical science, it's about understanding how society is structured, the role of government, politics, ethics, all of it. This gives us a practical checklist for creating real, lasting change.
And that leaves us with this one powerful thought to chew on. We pour so much energy and so much money into trying to fix these wicked problems. But what if the most powerful tool we have isn't a new program or more funding, but just a new way of seeing? Because maybe the first step to changing a system isn't fighting it head-on, but truly understanding how it works. And once you see it, once you really understand it, you can find the exact right places to push to change it for good.